Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special 50th episode of Beyond Bulbasaur. I recently turned 36 years old and promptly was bedridden for a few days with COVID 19. During that time, I typed up a script for a Bulbasaur episode. What you're about to hear is the edited version of that script. Don't worry, it's not too much of a fever dream, but it does get a little personal and rambly at times. I hope you enjoy. 24 years ago, after begging and wishing for months, on my 12th birthday, my parents bought me a Game Boy Color. It was the clear purple design, just like my best friend Nick's. The $70 price point was on the high end of what my parents wanted to spend on a birthday present, especially one they didn't really approve of. So it was the only present I got from them, and I had to use my birthday money for my grandmother to get Red Version, my first Pokemon game. But don't worry, my 12th birthday was also the last year that my parents let me have a birthday party where my friends bought presents. It was very important to my mother that as I got older, I either didn't have a birthday party or that it was very clear that people were not allowed to bring gifts. 12 years old is a weird time. You have to feel guilty for any kind of stuff that you like, but you're not old enough to figure out where you'll fit in as you get older. Everything seems so important, but a week later, that same stuff that seems so important doesn't matter at all. I was resistant to Pokemon when it first hit in late 1998. Even at 11 years old, I felt like I was just a little too old. Then, eventually, Nick got a Game Boy Color for his 11th birthday in June, and I reluctantly started playing the card game and watching the anime. By the time I got my own copy of the game, I was fully sold. This brings me to the subject of today's episode. For the 50th episode of Beyond Bulbasaur, I'm opting to go against the title of the show and talk about Bulbasaur. Pokemon Red Version was such an old game that it came with a manual. The manual suggested I start with Bulbasaur. All my friends said Charmander was better. I'm not sure if it was my desire to do things objectively correctly or my desire to be a contrarian that made me pick Bulbasaur. Back then, my AIM handle was Zuckus, spelled Z-U-C-U-S, a misspelling of the Star Wars bounty hunter. And that was the name I chose for my character. My rival was named Gary. I always loved that Pokemon games would let you choose your rival names. My birthday was on a Saturday, but I don't remember playing the game until after school Monday. I know for my party, we saw the Pokemon movie, which was released that day. And like I said, I didn't actually get the game for my birthday proper. It may be that I didn't get a chance to buy the game until late Sunday, and then I had to go to bed right after I purchased the game. Thinking back, I have a vague memory of my parents not letting me play the Game Boy in bed. One of the best parts about 6th grade was that it was the one year where I was home alone for nearly 3 hours every day after school. Before that, I went to daycare, and after that, my younger sisters were old enough for us to all stay home together. This meant for those first few weeks, I could burn through AA batteries playing hours and hours of Pokemon uninterrupted. I took my time in that first playthrough. I spent what seemed like hours grinding levels in Viridian Forest before Bulbasaur took on Brock and took everyone out with one strike of the Vine Whip. Another thing about that first Bulbasaur, before leveling it up to 100 with infinite rare candies, I kept it from evolving until it learned Solar Beam, since it would do that more quickly if you kept it from evolving. I never figured out if that hurt its overall stats once it did evolve. Within a few weeks, my Pokedex was at 143, and I just didn't feel like fighting to get those last few Pokemon. So I rebooted the game, deleting all those Pokemon, including Bulbasaur. It's wild what you think is important as a 12-year-old. Maybe it sounds wild that a 36-year-old man is waxing nostalgic about lost save data. Since then, I played through Red Version more than any other video game by a long shot. I would estimate that I've played through it a dozen or more times. starting with all 3 starters or even keeping my starter in the box to make room for different Pokemon on my team. But that Bulbasaur will always have a special place in my heart. Thanks for listening, everyone. Keep catching them all. This podcast is a production of the KendallCast Podcast Network. You can support the show for just $2 a month at patreon.com/KendallCast or make a direct donation through the PayPal link at kendallcast.ninja. Every little bit helps.